Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Day 2 of the LCS lock-in tournament wrapped up yesterday. Now today we are getting ready for lock-in day 3. In this video today, I want to recap day 2 because there's a lot of storylines to talk about. We had some teams looking way different than they did in day 1. Some better, some worse. We had some more big upsets and still just a lot of question marks for the rest of the tournament headed into day 3, the final day of the first week, which is really exciting. And then I want to preview the day 3 games, give my thoughts and opinions on everything I think is going to be going on, give my predictions, all that stuff, so we can get into all of that in today's video because we got a ton of stuff to talk about. But before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick a word from today's sponsor, which is Draft Buff. This is a fantasy esports website and app where you can play fantasy leagues for your favorite esports today. You can play now in browser. They have it on the App Store and they have it on Google Play. You know, we're talking about the lock-in tournament, which they do have leagues and draft royale and everything for the lock-in tournament, but obviously the LCS season's 2 weeks away. LEC season starts next week. LCK is already going. So, you know, if you're interested in playing some fantasy sports and want to participate in any one of those leagues, Draft Buff is going to be your place. I'm going to have a link down in the description below where you can get signed up. And when you get signed up, make sure you use code IAMGERM. I would appreciate it a ton, and so would they. With that being said, here we go. Getting right into this, we're going to start out by recapping the day 2 games. Obviously we started out with the game of Evil Geniuses versus Immortals, and Immortals was coming in with their academy roster. Kinda, they had Revenge playing and they had Insanity, but then they had Potluck, Keith, and Joey, so just kind of a mishmash of the starting team and the academy team. People were coming in with really low expectations. Evil Geniuses looked good yesterday, Immortals looked bad, so you know, this was a pretty easy one to predict, and it kind of played out how we pretty much expected it to. Immortals got wiped out early. Evil Geniuses got the win, and that got me to 3-3 overall as far as my predictions, because I did take Evil Geniuses to win that one. Then in the second game of the day, this one was crazy because TSM looked terrible on day 1. Golden Guardians looked better than people expected. And depending on how this game went, it was really going to shape a lot of people's opinions. If Golden Guardians won, all of a sudden, maybe they're a legit team. And then if TSM lost, man, the flame was going to start coming in. But the other way around, if Golden Guardians loses, it's like, you know, we kind of expected it. TSM has a better roster on paper, whatever. And if TSM wins, it's like, you know, hopefully they're looking better. But this is just a win against Golden Guardians, so we don't want to read too much into it. You know, TSM was down 7K at 20 minutes. They had the insane Baron steal by Spica to get them back in the game. Golden Guardians with a huge throw at the first Baron, a huge throw at the bot lane where Niles got caught out by Sword Art, even though he saw him on Vision. That was not good. Golden Guardians, if you played this game 10 times, Golden Guardians would probably win it 8 or 9 times, but obviously we live in the world where TSM won. So TSM did get a win against a not very good Golden Guardians team. I did get this one correctly, but man, I'm not walking away from that one feeling good if I'm a TSM fan, because they look terrible. So far through 2 games, they have 1 total kill in the first 20 minutes, and we've been hearing, you know, Sword Art, we have him now. He's going to help us play this LPL style, and that has not happened. TSM has had 2 bad drafts. They've had 2 bad executions of their game plan or whatever. Power of Evil's not looked great so far. Huni has kind of looked iffy on that Gnar back-to-back games. Lost has looked okay. Spica's looked good. Sword Art's looked okay. But man, it's still weird. I want to see how TSM does the rest of the tournament because still have a ton of question marks about that team. Then in the next game, 2 teams that did not look good on game in day 1, FlyQuest and Cloud9. Somebody had to win, and Cloud9 just pretty much stomped them. And I was able to predict that one correctly as well to get me to 5-3. Things were looking good. Perks had a huge mid-diff this game. He was really good against Palafox. He was playing the Galio, obviously more of a facilitative role, but Galio Kindred, so good. Blaber is so insane on that Kindred. And FlyQuest just does not look good so far. Diamond looks terrible so far from what I've seen from him. We just have a lot of question marks about FlyQuest. Licorice is not carrying how they had hoped. Fudge looked much better in this game. This was a very reassuring win for Cloud9 fans, but maybe it's not too good of a win because, man, FlyQuest looks terrible. So I wouldn't read too much into that. Again, I want to see how Cloud9 does the rest of this tournament as well. But, you know, Cloud9 fans should be feeling better after they were kind of panicking after day 1. Then we get into Immortals Dignitas. We already saw Immortals earlier in the day. They looked pretty bad, again, with the 3 subs. Dignitas, people were kind of hyping up after day 1. They looked hype. They looked good. But Dignitas came out and laid an absolute egg. Soligo and Fate God looked kind of how I expected them to look. They both had terrible games. The Dignitas team, which I just do not think is very, very talented. I really do not like a single player on their team. Kind of came back down to earth. A really terrible loss for them against, what is essentially a backup roster in Immortals. I think they lost in like 25 minutes, like 25-3 or something. Just an absolute disgusting loss. As soon as people started getting hyped for Dignitas, they got a big reality check. Just kind of shows you, don't overreact to one game. Don't overreact to this whole tournament in general, because it's just a preseason tournament. But this is more of the Dignitas that I think we're going to see throughout most of the LCS split. And then finally, the last game of the day was the biggest upset. CLG, who lost 2 games yesterday and looked terrible in both games. 100 Thieves looked good yesterday in a dominant win over TSM. 100 Thieves come out and just laid an egg. This was like a 50-minute game, which was very, very back and forth. 100 Thieves had an early lead. CLG came back. Solo played well. Kind of a big game for a lot of the guys on CLG. Wiggly got his hands on Talia, who looks just absolutely busted, and they were able to, pick up a huge win. And CLG, who's 0-2 at risk of being knocked out, all of a sudden they're 1-2, and they have a chance to make it to the knockout stage all of a sudden, which is pretty crazy. But I was not able to predict that one. But I did get back to 5-5. I'm at 500 into the tournament so far, which I think is good, exciting. But yeah, it's kind of a recap of yesterday. A lot of crazy games, a lot of crazy results. Blue side still with a big advantage so far in this tournament. But now we get into day 3, where we got some banger games. We have 2 Team Liquid games. That's going to be exciting. Cloud9 should be able to pick up an easy win. Hopefully, Evil Geniuses, we get to see them. Because, that's kind of the big storyline so far. Is 100 Thieves overrated? Is Evil Geniuses maybe underrated? A lot of stuff going on. So let's talk about these games. Immortals and Cloud9. Again, Cloud9 looked better yesterday. I'm not panicking or anything with them. I think they're going to look good. Immortals, even though they're coming off a win, it's against Dignitas. I think Cloud9 should be able to take this one pretty easily. Cloud9 is really, in my opinion, better at every single position, so I don't know why they wouldn't be able to pick up the win here. That is going to be a Cloud9 victory for me. Then, 100 Thieves and Team Liquid. This is one of the most interesting games of the day. Team Liquid, we've only seen them play 1 game so far, but they looked absolutely dominant. Grig looked fine. He was good. He's going to be starting both games today. 100 Thieves looked dominant in the first game, looked terrible. Not terrible, but just not good in their second game. A really, embarrassing loss against CLG, who people were kind of writing off as just not a very good team. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. I am still going to be leaning with Team Liquid. I think Alfari looked like a monster. I think they have the best bot lane in the league. And 100 Thieves, one of their strengths is that bot lane of FBI and Huhi, and I think Corey JJ and Tactical should be able to neutralize them pretty well. Someday, another strength of 100 Thieves. TL has an answer for that as well. We'll see how this one goes. Maybe they could abuse Grig a little bit, but I think Team Liquid's going to draft winning lanes to hopefully enable Grig to kind of do some more things. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited. I think Team Liquid is going to be able to get the win in this one, but man, that's a big game. It's going to tell us a lot about both teams, and it's also going to make this group very spicy. If 100 Thieves pulls off the win, then all of a sudden every team in that group has a loss, and that group is wide open. Next up, we have Evil Geniuses and Dignitas. Dignitas looked absolutely terrible, and Evil Geniuses has looked great so far. This should be an easy win for Evil Geniuses. I think Jizuke is going to have a field day against Soligo in the mid lane, and they should just be able to snowball off of that and win. I think their bot lane is better as well, even though I'm not a huge fan of Deathly. I think Deathly and Ignar should hopefully be able to stomp all over Neo and Aphromoo, but we'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be an easy win for Evil Geniuses. That's what I'm thinking. And then the last 2 games of the day are kind of banger games. I think the biggest game of the day is 100 Thieves Team Liquid, but these last 2 games are pretty interesting because, again, TSM, they are 1-1 with a win over Golden Guardians, who we don't really think is that great of a team. And CLG is 1-2. Whoever wins this game is going to be in a much better standing in the group, and whoever loses this game is at risk of being eliminated from the group all of a sudden, because Golden Guardians has a win, 100 Thieves has a win. This game could decide who kind of gets knocked out, which is kind of scary, depending on how the rest of the group plays out. TSM, again, they have looked terrible. Even though they have a win, they did not really, I'm going to say they didn't deserve that win, because, again, I think 9 out of 10 times Golden Guardians wins that game, and the only reason they threw was, I think, probably inexperience. They are the most inexperienced lineup and roster in the LCS, and it was just a miracle steal by Spica, which he shouldn't even have had a chance to get if Golden Guardians executed well. And then even after that, Golden Guardians still could have won the game because Niles was absolutely massive and should have been able to carry, but he just had a few tough plays. TSM made some miracle plays too. That Huni Gnar ult was so disgusting, and they were able to bring it back, but I'm not feeling good about them. And then CLG coming off a big win against 100 Thieves. They have all the momentum. Maybe they're starting to build some confidence. I don't know. They had a decent draft yesterday, and TSM has had terrible drafts so far. TSM is going to be on the blue side for the first time, so maybe they have a different strategy or something prepared. Maybe they'll get their hands on the Talia this time and show that they know how to play with it as well. But this game is really, really interesting all of a sudden. But I do think Spica should have a huge advantage over Wiggly. Hopefully they can play through that. We need Huni to look good. We need him to look better than he's been looking. We'll see how that goes. I am going to be taking TSM, but man, I really think this game could go either way. And then finally, the last game of the day, Team Liquid against Golden Guardians. I think this is a game where we're going to find out a lot about Golden Guardians. Because, again, they're playing against Team Liquid, who looks amazing, but they don't have their jungler Shantorin. They have Armeo, who... he looked good in the first game, but he is punishable. And Golden Guardians has so far been a fast, aggressive team who can potentially force you into mistakes. And if Armeo is not ready to go, if Team Liquid does not come out firing, which, they're kind of historically known as kind of that slow, methodical team, they're hoping to change things this season. They want to be that fast, just like strangling team, but that's not what they're really known for. Golden Guardians could maybe come out and punch them in the mouth and maybe surprise them. They have guys who have a ton of confidence right now. Niles, iconic, looking good. Blaze Olive hasn't looked terrible. Stixay kind of looking like underrated by people. I haven't really been impressed with Newbie yet, so I think Core JJ has a chance to really, really smash this game. But we'll see. If Golden Guardians able to pull off this upset, it would be absolutely insane. But I am going to be leaning towards Team Liquid, even with their backup jungler. I mean, TSM was able to beat Golden Guardians yesterday. I think TL is significantly better than TSM. So that is where I'm going. These are my predictions. That's my thoughts on everything that happened yesterday. A preview for everything to come. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. What do you think I got right? What do you think I got wrong? What are you thinking about the lock-in tournament so far? Which teams are you hyped up for? Which teams are you sleeping on? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on anything that is going on. Subscribe to stay up to date on my latest content. Let's hit 7K as soon as we can. Remember to check out Draft Buff. Hopefully, catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.